Hey, welcome to another episode of Sober Not Sane. I'm your host, Jebb Fink. First off, as always, thanks so much, Liz, at the camera store for sneaking these cameras out the back door so we could use them. No, she doesn't. They know that we're using them. The camera store is a great spot. You should go down there. They have gazillions of anything you would want to have to do with taking a picture. They've got it there. You should check them out. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe and like us on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. To me, it sounds like we're everywhere, but I think there's probably other places. I have Isaac, Lord King God of Cheese. That's what I'm calling you from now on. And you're with Say Cheese, which is at Crossroads Market.
Sure is.
And you are the cheese man. How long have you worked there?
7 years this month.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
How old were you when you started?
17. In high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, and Nancy kind of took you under her wing and you said, hey, I could work here. I like cheese.
Well, yeah, and then it went on and I got bored eventually and I was ready to leave. And then I got more responsibilities. So then a challenge occurred. So it was great.
Became a bit of an adult.
Exactly.
While you were there. But you also love cheese.
I love cheese, Jebb.
And I describe you as a really old soul.
Is that why we were talking about Walter Cronkite before the show
started?
No,
not that old. Not that old. Is he a soul yet, Walter Cronkite? I think he is a soul now.
Died like 20 years ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't read a paper in a while.
Okay.
They only put it in the one day. If you don't catch it, you don't catch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that.
The obituaries.
So, but you... if you had to say, we have this many kinds of cheese, a rough guess.
We usually say about 300.
300.
Yeah. So,
give or take on any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's sometimes we're out of stuff. It's unavailable by season. You know, things like that.
Or people won't put it on a truck and bring it to you. Well, it happens.
You never know.
Yeah.
I got an email from a supplier today that they are delayed by a day, so... I was thankful it was only a day.
Oh, a day?
Yeah, I know.
It's nothing, right?
I know. It's like, ooh, that could have been a lot worse.
Was it a big cheese? What were they bringing you?
Oh, they're our second biggest cheese supplier, so probably like 20 different cheeses. Just things we run out of during the week. Yeah. On
a weekly basis?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I have a friend that shops with you, and he came to, he was so happy with this cheese that you had sold him. And he gave me a taste of that, and I went, "Is that Colby?" And he said, "Yeah, that's it." And it would, like, to him, it was a new cheese experience.
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
Yeah,
tall guy.
Yeah, big guy.
Hair.
Yeah. He does sheetrocking. Les.
Oh, his name is Les. Okay. He used to always buy habanero olives for his mother, like habanero stuffed.
He brought me some.
How did that go?
They're delicious.
Oh, good. Okay.
He comes and sees me every time he's in there.
Oh, yeah. It's a lovely man.
He is.
Very, very kind. But I just was always like, he's what, in his 60s?
Oh, no.
No? 50s?
Oh, he's 28. No, he's not.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know if he's in his 50s. Maybe late 40s, early 50s.
Okay. I always thought he was older, so I just like this, like, had this thought of this fiery mother in her 80s eating these like spicy olives. I'm like, okay.
Well, if that's what she wants,
keeps her ticking, right?
That's right. It'll wake you up.
It will.
if you're an us. He also brought me the little what were the teeny tiny peppers?
Oh, they're Peruvian. Sweetie drops, yeah.
Well, yeah, I've always liked everything from Peru. Sweetie drops.
Yes.
They're delicious.
Yeah, just sweet peppers pickled. I want to see if I can't get a local producer to try and make some.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right?
Always good to get local.
Exactly. Be fresher, and
those,
I can charge a premium.
Instantly tasted a little bit, and I went, all right, so now I need a really good cracker and some goat cheese, and make a little circle in the middle and fill it with this.
A little surprise, like a Kinder surprise, a surprise in every bite.
Yes, yeah, but no toy.
Well, at least you can eat it.
Yeah, that's good enough. I don't think I need any small toys anymore.
I just feel like those poor 2-year-olds who don't get it, as their parents hand them chocolate, they just bite right into it. Imagine how many toys have been eaten out of those.
And traveled onward through the child. That is not a good mental picture at all. So do you, out of everything, I would think you would have a certain cheese that is your out and out favorite cheese.
I do. It's called Vacherin Mont d'Or. We only get it at Christmas. I probably tried to sell it to you probably every Christmas for the last 7 years, but it's very expensive and it's not for everyone. It's just intense.
Right.
You're supposed to leave it out all day. Like, I once almost had not a fight. It was a bit of a heated argument with a man because his wife was serving a beautiful, like, she was having company the next day. And it was around Christmas. Christmas party is important. And I told him, this has to be left out for, like, take it out when you go to bed tonight so it's perfect for your wife's party tomorrow. He's like, what? It's going to smell at my house. I'm like, I know, but it's worth it. and he just was like adamant. He's like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm like, sir, you need to do this or I don't know. I don't know if
You're not going to get the full experience.
And then he's like, okay. He so reluctantly, I was ready not to sell it to him because it doesn't open up quite right if you don't do that.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I wonder if I'll hear from this guy again or the wife or whatever. And then she came in on the Sunday, so after the party, and she's like, my husband told me what happened, but you were right. Good Lord, that was fantastic.
So he didn't come in and tell you
no,
she did.
Yeah. But he did listen, though, so it was perfect.
Well, it's good that he did that.
Yeah.
And you just used the phrase open up. So is it somewhat like decanting wine or
absolutely
like where you open up the flavors?
Exactly. So we're not going to tuck into these just yet. They've only been out for an hour, but in a bit when they get a bit more to room temperature, they just, I don't know. It's very it's more romantic than scientific. I always sell with romance, not science, but it's just has the cheese has a moment to breathe, to live again after it's cold coffee.
And we are, which is good. We are recording on Valentine's Day.
Yes. And now, how do you want to,
being that we're
like
both
2023? Is it a year now?
We're going to put a year. No, we're not holding on to these for a year.
I'm trying to make the audience think you're super successful. You have to record a year in advance.
No, I don't think that's what that means.
Okay.
I think if you got to record more, you're successful.
Okay.
If everybody will wait a year, we'll wait.
That's fair. Okay.
I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting because I mean, obviously I used to be a huge wine fan, so I understand that theory of I had never really thought of it. I know, like, Breeze, you want them out, you don't. And to me, it kills the flavor if you don't leave the cheese out.
Oh, well.
It doesn't kill it. It just isn't what it could be.
Exactly. And some cheeses actually, like this one here, I only get it in maybe twice a year. Because the wheel's $1,000, so it's a bit of an investment. But out of the fridge, it's just kind of boring. And this is always one I can tell with, like.
So what's the name of it? Where does it come from?
This is Fontina d'Aosta. It's from northwest Italy, north of Piemonte, in the small, like, sub-region of Italy, in the Aosta Valley. And it's interesting because it's surrounded by Switzerland, France, and Italy. On the cheese itself, its label just says "product of the mountains." Produtto Montagna. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I think it's very poetic, and it also shows like it's a regional cheese, right?
Right.
Because you might be on the other side of the French border, but you'll know the cheese very well because you live in Haute-Savoie, another alpine beautiful region.
So just over the hill.
Literally,
it's a big hill.
It is. Actually, I think that's where Mont Blanc is, the giant one of the biggest in the Alps. So, funny enough, it's a very big hill.
It's a very big mountain, yes.
Not like some mountains in France.
So what makes this one worth? Because people will be listening or watching this and go, $1,000 for a wheel of cheese. And I'll tell you kind of when people don't have the comprehension. Somebody said to me, we should go. I was running a kitchen downtown, if you remember. And he said, wouldn't it look great to have one of those big wheels of cheese?
Oh, like a parm?
Yeah. And I said, yeah, it would. Can I have $5,000? And he goes, what? I said, the one I wanted to be $5,000. He goes, for cheese? I'm like, well, if you notice, you don't take any plastic off of it to get to it. It's sealed. It's like there's a lot to it, and someone has lovingly, cared for this, and probably thousands of wheels of this. And you think it's worth maybe $100. Just no comprehension.
Well, maybe it could be. We should go to every police auction. Maybe they see some, and we can get them dirt cheap, Jebb.
That's an idea.
right?
Yeah, we shouldn't talk too much about the value. All of a sudden, somebody out there is going, well, that stuff's worth a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Well, but also it's fine to talk about because you can't like go up to your like dealer with a wheel of cheese and try and move in the black market. It's not gonna work here in Canada. In Italy though, a lot of
Stolen cheese?
oh yeah, truffles are bad too.
Oh, yeah.
They poison dogs sometimes. It's quite sad.
What?
Well, like rival truffle hunters will poison dogs. They'll leave poison out so the dog
Because
goes to
they're
find
using
it.
dogs instead of pigs now.
They haven't used pigs in ages. Because when a pig would
Well,
find
I'm really old.
oh yeah,
I'm going with that.
No, that's the story because it was true.
Right.
And then they moved to dogs because the pig's better at finding them. But a second a pig eats a truffle, it will only find truffles for itself to eat. So then you have to just put the pig down.
So they love them.
They love them as much as we do.
So see, and I'm not as big a truffle fan as you are. I like truffle oil. I like just a hint
Mm-hmm.
of it in things. You would eat them like bonbons.
If they could be consumed like that, absolutely. if there's ever truffles in, I usually like to have one for myself.
Do you have a truffle cheese too?
No. I
I'm
brought
shocked.
beautiful classics for you, rather than I don't know. I find when you add flavors to cheese, be it garlic or whatever, I can tell the customer immediately when they look at my board. They're like, they spend a lot of time. I'm like hoping maybe they love cheese and like dill Havarti. Well, that's a neat flavor. I'm like, oh dear Lord,
Is there such a thing?
there is.
I'm not a huge dill fan.
But I just mean the idea of like
Yeah.
because they recognize the flavor, not any of the names. So I'm like, if that's what's drawing your attention,
So they don't really know what Havarti is.
or probably even Gouda or whatever. Maybe they do, but it's the flavor that they like, right?
Well, they should have a pickle.
Yeah, with their cheese, exactly. But you know what?
Exactly.
We want to, if they start them there,
Little charcuterie, like you can set a little bit of everything on there. Enjoy slowly.
exactly.
Try not to put 4 items in your mouth at the same time.
We only have 2 hands.
Might affect the flavors.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, no, so a blue.
Yeah, that's a Canadian blue actually.
Oh, great.
It's one of the best in our markets. It's actually fantastic. This is a French cheese from the Pyrenees, not the Alps. So we have a Pyrenees cheese and Alpine cheese. And this is from land that used to be underwater a long time ago in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a third of the country.
So how did you pick these 4 cheeses and why?
So I picked. We're gonna start.
Do you start softest flavor to strongest?
We usually yes, but because of this cheese, this is our most common cheese here. I wanted us to start here. It's super delicious. Taste it and then kind of think about how this is very appeasing to like a mass audience, and then
Right.
we're working from more challenging, and the most challenging. So I did it from least challenging to most challenging.
See, and I grew up with a dad that loved blue cheese.
Okay, well there you go.
Now here's what I do with blue cheese. Like, I mean, you know my place. I sell barbecue sauce,
yes,
and I have people will ask me, "Well, is this good on steak?" And I just look at them and go, "You know what? If you buy a jar, you can do what you want with it. I prefer it on chicken or pork, and the only thing I put on steak is either a chunk of blue cheese or make blue cheese butter."
Yes,
And put that on the steak.
absolutely.
And I'm going to say 50% of the time people just go, blue cheese butter on a steak? Well, what would that? And it's, to me, amazing what happens in your mouth that makes that work together.
Oh, it's I don't know. It just gives so much to the beautiful beef, and that's what I've never got about those like covering in the sweet barbecue sauce, where it's like mostly sugar and vinegar. I'm like, well, there was steak under there.
Yeah, great on ribs.
Yeah, well, ribs need that. They need time to braise. I get it, but
Yeah. But so you're with me on that, so I'm not out of my mind.
Well, I was going to also ask, are you a Bernays fan as well then on a steak?
Okay,
occasion?
but I'd rather go straight cheese, blue cheese.
Fair. There you go.
Honestly, it's a matter of I don't want to have to make it.
It's fair.
It's a bit of work. And I know you can go to places where it's not that much work if you just use the powdered stuff. It's totally different.
Thank you, John.
So, yeah, we're ready. Let's go with contestant number 1.
Well,
And you know what's
behind door
what's
number
bad?
1.
I already think. You know what? You know why I do watch. It's not. Price is Right.
Who doesn't love Drew Carey?
Yeah, Drew Carey is great, but between that and Family Feud, I watch because it makes me feel smarter. I know it's horrible, but being an American, it's like fun for me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if we're talking about game shows that we can do, Monty Hall, curtain number 1.
Yeah, what was he had? I don't know. He had 2 or 3. They always have models.
There was Wayne Brady's on the show right now.
Yeah, I can't. He's all right. He's no Monty Hall.
Oh, well.
Who is? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, you can say starter cheese, but there's a lot going on there.
Sorry, let's say top of the pedestrian world. Is that better? If the pedestrian cheese world
ruder.
goes from, yeah, of course it is. What did you bring me on your show for, Jebb?
To be pompous.
Yeah, exactly. You brought a cheese expert.
John said to me, why don't we find someone pompous about what they sell? But it is. I don't know how I would describe that because it's
super like caramelly and nutty. Do you get that?
Yeah, but if I had someone that didn't like, that was a basic cheese person, because it's not I mean, you can't say it's, I guess, closest family, a cheddar of sorts, but
well, it's a Gouda, so
which is the nutty part.
Exactly. And a lot of Goudas are cooked at a higher temperature, just like Colby cheddar. That's why they're sweeter. That's why Colby's a really sweet cheese. It's a different process than cheddar, though it's called cheddar. Colby is. And this leaves, even young Goudas are just a little bit sweeter because they caramelize the milk just a touch more with the higher temperature.
That's very good.
Oh, yeah.
So what would you do with this at home? I think that's part of the problem with, let's call them higher end cheeses, is that people maybe don't know what to do with them. Well,
big thing about most higher end cheeses is they're really just for consumption. Like this is about 57, I think 55 a kilo we charge. This is 70. This is 120. And actually this is just 100. But
the low rent one.
Yeah, exactly.
Per kilo.
Per kilo, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, you can cook with this, but honestly, it's just best to be consumed and enjoyed and loved.
You know what, though? The really sad, I'm thinking, because I don't drink anymore, my thought was this would be really nice with a Barolo for me. I would like it together. But I can't do that anymore.
No. And you know, the sad part, then, if you're a fan of Piemonte wines, this one here, its classic pairing is with a Barbaresco, Barolo's bigger cousin.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. A cheese is a fortune. Why not have an expensive bottle of wine with it, right?
It seems to be the way the world works. So do you think in general, let's say people that aren't huge foodies and don't go for this type of a cheese, or maybe they're intimidated and don't really know what to do with it, and they can come to you and you can walk them through it. But do you think they go to what they know just because that's what they were fed as a kid? And
oh, totally. A lot of people, I mean, people like ourselves, we go to a menu. It's like, what is this? Swahili? Yeah, I'll just take this. Do you know what that is? No. But I actually want 2 of those. Never tried it, you know? Like, of course you want to try something new. That's why, I don't know, it's important to build relationships. That's what we do at the market, right? Because as though we use the word pompous, I try never to be really selling cheese. I want to go where the customer's at.
I was just teasing.
No, I know. But, you know, if the customer grew up with American cheese, what my uncle did a great one. He's like, normal days American cheese, feeling fancy, Cracker Barrel. And on those really nice days, we break out the aged Balderson. Like, of course, he's joking, but, well, actually, he's not. But anyways.
But it's not a bad cheese.
No, Balderson's
and it's in a good price range.
You know what? And There was a great quote.
It's not box wine.
It is not. You're right. Boulderson is not box wine. What would Boulderson be? It'd be the $15 starter wine on the shelf. It's just drinkable. Just drinkable. One of my favorite writers, MFK Fisher, she was talking about a Depression era menu item she found. It was
Can John have some?
Oh yeah, sorry, John.
While we're here.
That's okay.
Don't you like cheese?
No, I like, but that's okay.
We'll save you a piece for after.
That's fine.
Okay.
Do they not have cheese in Brazil?
We do.
Of course you do.
Yeah, we do.
Cheese is everywhere,
Yeah,
is it not?
exactly.
Almost.
We have some local ones very good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's some artisan cheeses.
Yeah.
So I tried to get you fed. You look weak. You look like
Yeah, that's fine.
Pale
Okay.
and thin.
you can have some in a little bit. This is the longer you let it play in your mouth, it just
The finish is outstanding.
yeah.
Well, this is good. Just wait a bit.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. So the quote was just about a tomato sauce, and she said, "Good but uninspired." And it's always sat with me because there's nothing wrong with that. You can't have the best every day, or I don't know. You wouldn't be relatable. Like, yeah, if I'm at home in my underwear and want the day off, I'm eating cheddar out of the fridge and I don't want anyone to talk to me. But if I'm at a great party, of course I'm drinking the best wine and talking about the cheese. But, I can't. If I did that every day, I'd be completely unrelatable.
True. And you have access.
Well, you're right. Exactly. But I make sure to, yeah.
But you do have to, I mean, to me, so you talk about tomato sauce. I don't make the world's fanciest tomato sauce. I make a good basic tomato basil. You want to do something else with it, I make a arrabbiata as well, which is spicy, and sun-dried tomato. But it's a good basic sauce. But it is not the same as, okay, I have to finish this one first.
Yeah. As
me going across to pick up fresh cherry tomatoes from our friends in the market and just making a sauce by hand while you're standing there. Totally different ballgame.
Oh, absolutely. And the joy is I love our market for that. We have the market for that. Sometimes we get people who are like shocked. They probably like $7.50 for tomato sauce. You got to be kidding me. We have others who they're like, oh, I'll bring in truffles sometimes. They're like, oh, that's a good price. I'm like, yeah, only $3,600 a kilo. But
but that's what it is.
Yeah, I love our market for that, honestly.
But I found what I'm doing is, and I'm happy with this. Our friend Richard, who is he's a red seal chef, and he brought me a sealer, and instead of jarring the sauce, I can seal it and freeze it flat so it sits in your freezer, lasts pretty much forever because it's vacuum packed, and it's going to be less. I got to do the pricing on it, but because jars went up, jars of sauce went up to $8.50, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like $7.50, I think, is a lot for 500 mil. So, I mean, it's really good, but...
When did you start that, though? 7 years ago when you started your booth? Was that the price?
$7.50.
Yeah.
From the go.
Well, then inflation. Just tell them inflation.
No, I know, but I want to be fair to... I want to be fair to people, too.
Okay.
I want to give them my best shot at giving them a more affordable product, because I don't think anyone else is doing that right now. Everybody's just going, nothing we can do about it. And sadly, with cheese, that's it. It's a chunk of cheese. There's no way to make it less.
No. Definitely when in Canada, our dairy is controlled by a commission, and they just raise the price across the board by 8.4% for dairy. Yeah, I know.
And that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, and that's literally like government down. But that's really kind and a lovely approach for you. And you'll probably have a lot of retained customers for that reason, because that means you care about them.
Yeah. Let's go with it. Yeah, I do. I have a lot of great. Well, same with you. You get a lot of really good regulars.
And we do care.
And you want to keep them happy. But the thing that gets me is, okay, so you have no control over that, 8.5% raise.
No.
None. Zero. But you're the guy standing there looking the customer in the eye going, there's nothing we can do about it. The government raised the price.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody from the government, from the Dairy Commission, is going to come and sit at Say Cheese and answer questions about why they raised the price.
And you're right, but at least being a specialty store, I have the the diction for that to explain it and understand.
Yeah.
Imagine the poor kid at Sobeys. So like, you know, like they don't even have a clue, right? So that's where they would need help.
Why don't you get the craft?
Yeah, exactly. It's cheaper. Look, it's on sale. $2.99 for 24 slices.
Okay, that is so much softer.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty buttery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, delicious.
Compared to the last cheese too. So this was called Beamster, by the way. Sorry, we just skipped that because you can actually find this in the grocery store. It's quite delicious, quite common.
However, we would prefer that you go to Say Cheese at the Crossroads Market.
Yeah,
that's where you learned about it. Yeah.
74% of the money you spend at local businesses stays in the community. There.
I just heard that recently.
Yeah, it's a true statistic.
From our soap lady.
Yeah, no, it's...
We had Melba from the Bonus Soap Company on.
Actually, I think that needs to be updated because after the pandemic, there was such a shop local incentive by society. I bet it's went up to like 80%.
Could be.
Which is grand. So, yeah.
There'll be a government study and we'll hear about that in 12 or 14 years.
Maybe we should date the podcast 2032.
Oh, there, you're getting back to delaying this. And people will come to Say Cheese and go, wow, you looked way younger on TV.
Life's been hard.
So is this also, to you, a eat it all by itself cheese?
Mm-hmm. I just looked it up in a little cheese book I have, which is really helpful encyclopedia, basically. And it said, I love their like quick descriptions for things like this. It said, local brunch for the what is a sheep, the shepherds and peasants, because peasants eat brunch, I guess, in French. I love that.
That's hilarious.
It's yeah. So the reason it's more buttery on the tongue is it's higher fat because this is drier cheese. Sheep's milk out of the ewe comes out at 8 to 9% fat, so it's double that of dairy cattle.
Okay.
Yeah. So even like if you've ever drank sheep milk, oh my God, you're drinking.
No,
it's like ooh, it's like cream almost.
I don't even drink cow's milk.
Oh, next time in the summer, I can get water buffalo milk from a local farmer. It tastes like candy. It's 10% fat out of the animal. Yeah, like naturally sweet. It's so beautiful.
Got to be hard to herd them up to get it.
Actually, I wonder. Sheep are worse. Sheep are bastards.
They're kickers.
Yeah, they don't like to be milked. Goats, they're like whatever. Cows, they're stupid.
They like it.
Yeah, it helps them.
They're like, yeah.
But sheep are just like, do not touch me. What are you doing? Good Lord. Yeah, it's very interesting. But it makes it and this one is actually named after the valley in the forest is from Osao Valley, Irati Forest in the Basque Country. It's from the southwest of France.
So now what? And here's my question for it. So would there be really good, maybe this is a dumb question, I ask lots of them. Australia, known for having gazillion, New Zealand, lots of sheep. Is the milk different there?
Absolutely. Because then we're getting into the discussion of terroir, right? Sorry. Terroir is the... How do I put this?
I'm not the only one that made that face when you said that.
Did you make it too? It is the...
No, the listeners.
The viewers, yeah. The viewers out there.
What the hell is that cheese boy talking about now?
It's the indefinable expression of which makes a region's quality ingredients, wine, cheese, almonds, beef here, that their own. The reason why Alberta beef is better than like Manitoba, or why this cheese, Fontina, there is it's a terrible reproduction, but made in Denmark. That one's only good for cooking.
Okay.
But there's a reason this costs 3 times as much. because there's something that is in the valley that those cows are eating, like the grass, the different makeup of the grass. There's wildflowers in it. There's different spices. There's different kind of grass. There's
Okay.
clover. And then what the grass is sitting on? The bedrock. Like, it's just the same as wines, right? Like,
Yeah.
Champagne is on chalk. The Loire is on granite and flint. I don't even remember.
So all of that affects the flavor.
Ever so slightly. And that's what always separates the, you know, the gastronomer versus just like regular person, because you aim for those things. That's why wine from this region will go perfectly with this cheese, because it's what's grown together goes together, that old saying.
Yep.
Because they each carry those like microscopic details of this slight essence of granite and this essence of the same soil and, you know, the same weather. And
I did watch a cheese show, which I think you should be hosting, but
as you mentioned before, thank you.
No, I think, I did. There's something funny about TV and any kind of entertaining where you, at a certain point, you got to stop making it totally about you. And it's got to be about what the natural question would be. Yeah, sure. I could probably eat more of that.
It's delicious.
This is my dinner tonight.
Lovely.
This is a great way to do this. You were right, John. We should be feeding people when they're here. I don't know what you're going to make next week, but so with all of that combined, how many people do you get that come in there and they have all of that knowledge already and they know what cheese they're going for? Kind of what's the percentage of people that I can imagine you explaining that to some people, and in the back of their head they're thinking, I just wanted some cheese, God damn it.
Like, I came for a piece of cheddar. This guy won't leave me alone.
Tastes like chalk and slate. What the?
I would say about. My rule of thumb is that half the people we get, we know their names or we know them. They're like, oh, you're here for this, or how's it going? Hi, Lorraine. Hi, so and so. Hi. And then of those half, they're just like dedicated people. So maybe about 25%, 20 to 25. And of course, most times they're not. They know this, but they don't come looking for cheese unless they need it for a recipe or they're hosting something. It's always like,
right.
Isaac, what's new? What's grand? Tell me, inspire me, basically, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Well,
and you love what you do, so that's great.
And when I bring in an exceptional cheese, the customers know, because I don't even say hi to them. I'm like, try this. I'm like, hi, Isaac. I'm like, oh, David, hi, whatever. Just try this. And then they taste it, and they're like on the same level as me. They're like, that's outstanding. Yes. And then I have some who just like, I show them a piece, like, you know, being kind, smaller pieces. Like David, my friend David, he looks at me. He's like, no, come on, like
cheese.
Double.
Came here for cheese.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I love it. It's a lot of fun. Definitely when and sometimes when I get something that's so exceptional and short list, it's a back cheese or a back cooler cheese. It doesn't go to the front. So only if I know you.
I used to have a butcher I went to, and I would go in and say, you know, I need 6 ribeyes, and he'd like reach for the counter. I go, no, some of the ribeyes you got in the back for you, not the everybody ribeyes. I went, and every butcher will tuck away. Oh,
well, I know that well. I work next to the butcher at the market. Cohen always has something saved wonderful, and it doesn't always be a, you know, it's whatever's great. Even for myself, it doesn't have to be a ribeye, the best. It can sometimes be a weirdly good, sometimes okay cheese. You know what I mean? Like a great expression of it, because the cows were happy and it was from the perfect season in summer or whatever it is, and it just makes the best cheese.
Let's go back to the cows were happy.
Yeah.
Yep. Happy cows make better cheese.
Happy cows make better steaks, better beef, right?
Oh, better steaks, yeah.
But cheese for sure, because it means they're living a better life, right? So, okay, this is a quote from Jessie King.
Yeah.
It's a rather harsh one, but she always buys chickens from Cohen, and because they're better, right? They're free range, they have a life. She's like, well, the groceries, I don't touch them. Those poor Auschwitz chickens. And I know.
Wow,
but
that's harsh.
It's true. It's sadly like.
Yeah, they're not always treated well.
No, they're put in cages, and, you know.
But see, I have kind of a theory of that too, and I don't like it if animals are being not treated well. But we're at the point on Earth that we have so many people, we have to do something to get affordable food
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people. And there are a lot of people that can't go for the top of the line cheese or chicken or whatever. And you know, they deserve good food too. So I mean, I'm kind of torn on that one.
I'm not, because I think no. I'm not saying
No,
from
it's
an elitist
okay.
perspective, like let them starve, the hoi polloi. I mean, in France, their most popular cheese here is $90 a kilo by the time it gets to us, because what they do is they subsidize it because it's a part of their culture to have good food. So instead of like creating a class distinction, like it's not class distinction, but here in Canada, Canadian dairy is artificially inflated for price by this board
For the farmers.
Absolutely, which I understand, but then the consumers reap the that's the issue, and then we tariff everyone else's cheese coming in, so that stuff like this, which not this one, but other great cheeses that are every day in other parts of the world, are out of the reach of everyone,
Right.
except the 5%.
And shipping and right now shipping is brutal.
Oh, it's if not doubled, sometimes by 4 for some people. It's crazy. So I don't like the model that we do. I think we should subsidize. Then we have a better option for more people of better quality food, right? Because then the farmers would be happier, raising happier animals, right?
And isn't it funny that I don't think the farmers here are per se treated horribly.
No.
But I don't think they have the respect they deserve, considering they're the people that are feeding us.
Yeah, and in some cases, certain parts of the world, right? A lot of them, because we have a huge export market too. So. Yeah, it's a tough question, of course. And if we knew the answer, we've been.
I'm such a pork fan that.
Oh, that's
very flavorful, delicious.
It's outstanding.
Yeah,
so delicious.
Smartest thing I did with food this year. I also, in an effort once again to keep my prices where they're in line for people.
Heard about this one, yes.
I started making my own sausage, and I get the pork from Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
He grinds it up for me, and it's a beautiful grind on it. And
you'll have to pick.
I have like 4 of these. Yeah, it's gonna be stuck. Don't mind your hands. And anyway, it makes it more affordable for people, and it's fresher.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I mean, I've had a couple of customers come back and go, "What'd you change?" I said, "Why? What's wrong?" And they go, "Like it was really good before. This stuff's amazing." I was like, "It's the pork." I mean, there's a good recipe, but
well, of course, it's good pork. It's what you're doing. There's something about fresh pork or fresh sausage. Every time I've just made it myself, I'm always shocked. I'm like, whoa, this is delicious. It's really quite.
Yeah,
wonderful.
I mixed 3 pounds. That was going to be my dinner, not the whole. I mixed 9 pounds actually, 3-pound packages.
Okay.
And I was going to cut some out and make a pork patty for dinner.
Well, you got some cheese. You can bring home a bit to put on top of your pork patty after.
A bit. He's insinuating he's not giving me all of it, and I understand that.
Oh no,
it's
you
expensive.
can take it all.
Well, you got to take something home. I'm sure you have cheese in your fridge.
Really?
What cheese do you have in your fridge that you never run out of?
Cheddar. I love cheddar.
Yeah.
I love aged cheddar. I always have some in the fridge because it's an everything cheese. I love everything cheeses. It cooks. You can eat it on a daily basis.
The melt's good.
Melts great. Takes out the stubborn spots right out. You know, it does it all. So, well, I remember when you started using our cheese. Go ahead if you want to try it. For your lasagnas or beautiful parm.
Yeah.
There was customers who noticed it immediately, and the second you stopped for one, you ran out. They're like, "What's wrong with this?" It's just you ran out of that, quality.
You know who does that? Kids.
Really?
It's not as hard to impress kids, but man, if you change something on a kid and what they're used to getting, lady, that's delicious.
Oh yeah.
A lady told me I'm like drooling. Lady told me a great story that she had run out of fresh pasta and she cooked dry pasta, and she served it to her kid. He took 2 bites and goes, "What is this?" And it's just, she told me since he was a baby, all he ever had was fresh pasta.
Well,
She said, "You've absolutely ruined my child."
it's hilarious.
Like, I got 4 of my own kids to ruin.
Yeah.
I don't have time to ruin your child. But isn't it funny? Like, I'm sure you have customers that their children are lucky enough to get to eat some of these cheeses.
We have Brett and Hazel. They live in Ramsey. She runs a business out of Ramsey. Very local people, so of course they shop at the market. Very lovely people. 2 little girls, Hazel and Thea. And Thea brings Brie every day in her little lunch kit. So they always have to have, they buy 4 wheels at a time or large
The
pieces.
little-
so
little
that she
Bries?
has, yeah,
Wow.
always has a piece. And then she shows off to the other kids. Hazel always tells me. She's like, yeah, Thea's very proud of her Brie she brings. So, no, it's, I think it's so much fun. And then they get to know the whole family sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, of course, most of my customers are 40 to 50, maybe in their 60s.
Right.
Disposable incomes. But I know I've made a mark when I see them all the time, and then the parents come to town. Oh, we have to go see Isaac. You have to come meet Isaac. And then the kids, most of them usually in university or live out of, and then they start trickling in slowly. I met another great customer's son this week.
Yeah.
I've never met him, but he's eaten probably God knows how much cheese I've sold her. And she's just went to the Galapagos right now. So, like, lucky her.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, you have to apply to go there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't just, it's not a
Oh.
vacation trip.
Huh. Well, I think.
You have to, well, it is, but you have to qualify to go there. Very protected now.
Well, for the best.
Yeah.
I think the turtles after the
Can't we
the
do that
tortoise-
for some areas?
I think we'll have to eventually.
Okay, describe this cheese for me. Because it's not as buttery.
No, it's a lot fruitier actually. And that's something I find in the area of area it's from. This Aosta and Haute-Savoie, like Upper Savoy, just
Okay.
south of Lake Geneva, if you know where Geneva
Yep.
is. That little like stretch of mountains and what the cows make, like all of the cheeses have this really fruity characteristic to them, which is not something you'd think of describing cheese. But you taste it,
yeah,
right?
but yeah, it's in there.
Mhm.
But where is that coming from? Are they
The terroir.
Yeah, but I
I
know.
don't-
I
I
get
don't
it,
know.
but what's up there that they're eating?
I don't know. I'll go, but I don't think there's much difference in the pasture.
See, there's your cheese show.
We're-
That's pretty much what it was a guy going around but geez, could you talk to the guest a little? Could you?
Oh, I love this cheese. It's a lot of people don't get it though. That's what breaks my heart. So I find it so amazing. It's fruity. It's a little funky. You get that like earth, that like barnyard earth on the end. It has a lot of like melty characteristics. I wouldn't say buttery, but milky.
So okay, would this be something? Because I saw you do something on a TikTok or something with a fondue,
Mm-hmm.
and I had said, "Hey, that's really easy. If I don't have to do it, bring a fondue." But would this be over the top, or would this be added to a blend of cheeses for a fondue?
If I was doing a fondue with this, I would just use this cheese because everything that we're tasting would be accentuated and it would be outstanding. It'd probably be the most expensive fondue ever, right? Because if
Right.
you're serving, let's say, 5 people, that'd be $120 of cheese plus wines plus bread and all of your accoutrements. So
Yeah.
it would be outstanding. And then if you really want to be decadent, put truffle on top. But
That's kind of over the top, eh?
well, I mean, our motto
really-
at the shop is there's no excess like debaucherous excess.
Yeah, there you go. Go big or go home
Exactly.
would be my poor American version of that.
Well,
These are delicious.
it is. So in Piemonte, in the region next to this, the Italians make something called fonduta.
It's also a wine region, yes?
It's an everything region.
Yeah.
Like the best food region of Italy, in my opinion. They make fonduta, which is an Italian fondue, which is somehow richer because they add butter, egg yolks, and milk to it instead of on wine. I know.
Okay.
And then to make it fonduta piemontese, you actually put fresh white truffle, which this year, to give an example, I sold for $15,000 a kilo at Christmas. It was outrageously expensive this year. Like it's normally 10,000. You know, reasonable.
A reason. Yeah.
Yes.
More than almost everybody's car.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Like if you put it into
Oh,
context.
I never do though, because then I get carried away. Like, oh, good, this is just rent for a year for me. Great. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like you get all the money.
no, God, no.
So how, just kind of in general, for these cheeses, I know other products from other countries and other regions of the world, people complain that the farmers aren't treated fairly. But would you say the European farmers are, because they are subsidized, are they more fairly treated?
I don't know. They still. Okay. Let's put this in context. I remember reading about a few years ago a farmer protest in France, but the French just protest, right? Like if you go to Paris and there's not a protest going on, are you really in Paris? Like that could be a philosophical question, really.
Yes.
Like, so I don't know, because I don't hear about any other groups of farmers in other European countries, and I don't mean to like joke about the French like that, but they're known to complain because they don't put up with bullshit from their government as much as other countries.
Yeah.
Like one of the best French stories about that I've heard of was there was a milk tax years ago, and it went up by 10 cents per little liter or half liter or whatever, and the Parisians are like, okay, bought 2 each day, one to drink or one to use for coffee and stuff, the other one to pour in the streets as they went home. It lasted 3 days, the tax.
Wow.
Yeah, like they're
a very visible protest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why they usually work, and that's why they're on their 5th republic, 2nd empire, and 3rd monarchy.
Yeah. So answer me this, since you know about the milk system here. It always amazes me because I do cream sauce, but if you go to the store to buy a 4 liter of milk, it has gone up 30 cents, or it's $5.39 now.
Yeah.
If you buy a 2 liter, it's $4.39. How does the math work on that?
Because of how, so right now, in Canada and most of the world, let's say North America, Europe,
right,
milk consumption is going down, right? Dairy consumption, the only thing growing in the dairy consumption world is a high end sheep, goat, buffalo, high end, great dairy. Just the regular stuff keeps on. It peaked in 2013 in this country and has been on the decline, and that means, but here butter has been more and more and more popular. So if this is 34% milk fat by volume.
Okay. Yep.
So if you make cheese, then you have you're using a bunch of that. You need the cream, right? So some cheeses has cream added. So you have to skim all that cream. So skim milk is just
skimmed off.
Yeah, there's almost no demand for it now. Like they can make skim milk powder and stuff, but I have a farmer, a local friend, who's he's destroying it basically.
But and I think when I was maybe in my teens or whatever, the big push was to drink skim milk because it's going to keep you thinner.
Yeah, that was the 80s fat, right?
Yeah.
When it was like fat is the enemy, and then we later learned cholesterol and processed grains and everything else is, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of other enemies in some of our foods.
Exactly. No, there's such a demand for that fat right now. That's what's driving up the prices, right?
Okay.
So skim milk, even the farmer I spoke to, he's lowering his skim milk prices and some products that use skim milk entirely to try and use it because they're just feeding it to pigs now to fatten them. So, which is good as a use.
Which is okay, yeah, as long as it doesn't get poured out in the street on your way home.
Destroyed is, what I mean, like not used in its intent. So that 1% is making a huge difference right now. And because cheese making, not many cheeses are made with a lower percentage. It's usually whole milk, right? They need the whole milk. They milk the cow, they pasteurize it, and they send it off.
Right.
So then there's no chance to recoup. So if you are buying whole milk, you're paying for that.
The big price.
Because that's the demand, right?
Yeah, and there's no sense. I mean, if I'm making a cream sauce with it, short of using actual cream, which I'm not as fond of in the cream sauce. I don't know why, but maybe it's the way I make it. But it's just, I've always wondered how could it be you get twice as much for $1 more?
I don't know. I would just use 1% milk, and if you're making a bechamel, and add butter to supplement, probably be cheaper in the end.
Well, I don't know. Butter's gone up too.
Not as much butter. I don't know.
But real butter. And what we should talk about that. You brought up butter. It's your fault. The butter that you brought me. Tell me about that. Isaac brought me this butter, and it was like stunning.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, for a minute, I thought, well, you could have got way more of that butter on this little chunk of bread. Like a lot. Like you could have doused it in it. Where was that from?
That is from. It's considered the best place in the world to get cream and butter from. Isigny, France. It's a subregion of Normandy. So, what makes it so beautiful is that I think in the 1909, I think if I read that correctly on their website, the farmers kind of built a co-op in the area to ensure that their milk and cream were utmost quality, and they've just kept the standard up throughout the last century.
Seems pretty progressive for that time in the world.
Well,
1909.
Foresight. I mean, more like a co-op. Like they formed a co-op. A farmers
yeah, but
co-op.
there had to be a certain level of.
Oh well, that's the first distinction for.
That is kind of French too.
Absolutely. Well, that's where. So this is an AOP cheese. This is an AOP cheese, and this is Dutch. So they don't have any of those. It means like origin of protection.
Yeah.
And the Italians have a DOC as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. DOC, tomatoes, designation, origin of control. It's all about quality. So that means these cows, they're in the field grazing, but they also have a diet. And this diet has rigid standards. If you're outside the diet, that's not the right cheese. You can't call it that cheese. You might not even be able to make it. This cheese, the milk has to be turned into cheese within 18 hours, or the milk is useless.
It's spoiled.
Yeah, basically. And if sometimes it's as limited as copper pots versus others. You're using the wrong kind of wood for the handle to turn the cheese. Wrong. Like, literally, the butter, it has to be teak wood churns, or it cannot be called that butter. Because that's how they've done it forever. It's also to protect their history and their culture. But when you taste
that's really interesting.
It's wonderful. So there was a hay shortage a few years in France in a certain region, and they were getting close to like not being able to going outside the laws.
Right.
So then they pleaded the French government to just alter it that year. Otherwise, they would have. I don't even know what would have happened. So yeah,
they would have had to call it something else.
Yeah, or sell it at a less, right? It would have been quite sad. And then hay sometimes outside the region can't do that, you know. So in Isigny, where that beautiful butter comes from, it's golden and just outstanding. They have to use Breton salt from the next region over, big pieces of it. Other salt, no way, no bueno, no go, you know?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's so terribly French.
Because you just, and our mutual friend, Les, always gets butter from you.
Yes, he gets New Zealand butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to sell him the next one, but I also fear you can get people started on it and that's it. They're like, I can't have anything else. Like,
it's kind of the lack of a better way to put it, heroin with butter.
And that happens a lot with the cheeses too. Like, Les won't be buying regular cheese anymore. It's only Colby now.
Oh no. Yeah. No, he's going, and I know that he comes to the market to shop, and he goes maybe 5 or 6 of us, and he buys specific things that he doesn't buy huge amounts, but he really enjoys it. And maybe that's the key. Like, you don't need more. Where from the U.S., I come from that, well, more is better. I mean, I don't know if I've told this story on the show, but I was somewhere, might have been Texas. And everywhere I went, I said, can I get fries, but just bring me half an order of fries, not the whole? And the plate showed up, and I said, I'm sorry, but I asked for half an order. And she goes, yeah, that's it.
Oh.
I was like, it's like easily 3 times as many French fries as anyone would need.
Oh, gosh. Well, what's the state motto? It's always bigger in Texas.
Yeah, something like that.
It rings
Have
true.
a seat, put on this hat, we'll strap you in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they are.
64 ounces of beef or more, and it's free.
Yeah, they do still have. I think. Are there any of those up here? I don't know
of
any.
just like, we have free healthcare. I think it'd probably be illegal.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd flood the
exactly.
flood the healthcare market.
Yeah.
All of these are delicious.
Excellent.
Do you have something that you don't have all the time, other than the one that you mentioned around Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
That, like, I'm assuming you probably have a short list of people. When you get something in, you call them and just say, "Hey, I got this in."
Oh yeah, it's just a text message like, "Hey, you have to come see me." And at this point, there's such a rapport. They're like, "Yep, Isaac just let us know."
They just trust you.
Yep, which is great. So, I very much appreciate that. That means when I bring in the $1,000 wheel, it's not like a sweating like, "Oh my god, what is going on?
What if we don't unload this?"
Be like, "Did I bring in enough?" Like, which
Oh.
is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely when something is really amazing. It's there was when the pandemic in the summer of 2020, they started bringing into Canada this Portuguese cheese.
Mhm.
I think I brought you a piece or like a taste. It comes in this. Oops, that's okay. Comes in this little. Yeah, John's shaking his head like, of course he can't do anything about that. Sorry. It actually cloth wrapped because they're so delicate. If you like push them too hard, they'll just burst their sides and just ooze out. And it's this like gooey interior.
Oh yeah, I had some of that.
And we brought in 30. Because Nancy's like, we have this line on this cool cheese, and I said, yeah, we'll do 30. She's like, that's a lot. I'm like, no, just trust me, And then after the first like 3 hours of the Friday, I'm like, Nancy, I need 50 more. She's like, what? And then she's like, oh yeah, I guess so. We were the only people who could sell them in Canada. Montreal was having trouble. Toronto, no one else.
That's
in the
kind of
city.
surprising. You would think Montreal. I mean, Montreal has great food.
I think it was more of just like it's not well known here because Portugal doesn't export a lot of their cheeses here. Like,
Right.
Gruyères and Goudas and things that are known by ear have a better market. Say if you're
Right.
shopping at a store, you can see that and be like, cool.
And you know what it is.
Or have
and
an idea.
You're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I actually, years ago, this is one of the weirdest gigs I ever did. I went to Whistler for a cheese event, and apparently the island and in the area in Vancouver and on the island, they have a lot of boutique cheese factories. So they had this big event, and I didn't think anything of it going there. And I think I've told you about this. So it was basically, and they do it in France, that they...
Wales.
Wales?
Yes,
Okay,
of all places.
They get wheels of cheese. Well, at least if you're in Wales, you're getting hit by worse cheese. No offense if you're from Wales, but I mean...
You just alienated 2 viewers out of Calgary.
They could see this in Wales.
Oh, you're
I'm
right.
sure they have the internet by now. Just kidding. You could, once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they have 22 kilo wheels of cheese. And it's something like running with the bulls, although you're running with the cheese wheels. So you start running down the hill, and then these guys let them rip. And they're rolling down the hill. And it didn't really occur to me what was going on, and because I'm not that smart. And so they're basically 40 plus pounds of cheese wheels rolling down the hill. And they had all these bales of hay set up. And all of the audience that was watching the event were behind the bales of hay. Apparently they had never tested it because some of the wheels actually
It's like blew through.
Oh. And we had minimum 3 people leaving ambulances with broken legs.
Oh, gosh.
There were guys, they had to go up and bring them down in stretchers. And a couple of the people that were injured were on the other side of the hay bales. And I was just standing there, and it didn't dawn on me till the first one went by. And it went by and went, holy shit. And then I turned around, I could see all these wheels of cheese coming down. And I thought, I'm not getting paid enough for this one.
You need hazard pay for that.
Yeah, it's a fun gig, but this is dangerous.
You didn't clue in when they're like, okay, Jebb, is your life insurance up to date? Sign this and this and this.
Yeah.
Did you call Judy?
Yeah.
Great.
Do you have
Let him rip.
Do you have any goalie equipment?
That might not even help, honestly, with 40 pounds.
But you would have loved to watch that.
Oh, well, yeah, it just
in a
be
sad
fun.
and sick way.
Yeah, Schadenfreude. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's not healthy for anybody. But when I was there, they had the displays of cheese, and the amount they gave you was so minuscule, and it was like I did each booth. Well, I didn't really I can't really fairly judge that based on what you gave me, and they'd go, "No, that's it, buddy."
Were you the judge as well?
Hmm?
Were you the judge as well for
No,
the cheese?
God,
oh.
no. No, they had actual culinary experts that were there. Although it would have been more fun to have like really everyday people.
Just sometimes with just what comes out of their mouth, right? For
Yeah.
food, it's always outstanding.
Well, my mom with the blue cheese, my dad and I be eating blue cheese, and she was always, it's like stinky socks.
I hear that a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, it does smell like that sometimes.
What? Though I have one that's worse. It actually tastes great, but the smell, like that kind of smells like fish because I can't recall, but there's something to do with dead fish in the cave it's aged in. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, maybe they dried fish in there.
Yeah, something like that. This one smells just like a cow died in its own shit in a field.
Is this the one that you sent home with Stefan?
Yes, it's his favorite. You can smell it from your booth. Yeah. I made you make a very delicious dish with it called tartiflette from Savoy.
Yeah.
And I made it last week because I had a bunch of wheels in on sale. I was struggling to go to my own house, and I love cheese. I'd be like walking by the apartment door and like, oh my God, my neighbors will think I died in there. Like,
yeah,
it was bad.
They just have to, the cops are kicking the door in.
They're like, yeah, exactly.
Cadaver dogs scratching.
They'd go right to the
so
fridge.
What is it about that cheese that makes it smell like that?
No idea. It's a wash rind cheese like this, which they smell. They're earthy. They're stinky. There's a bunch made in Normandy where that great butter's from, but this one takes the cake. It just smells like
just
pure.
Can you explain that phrase, wash rind?
So for those of you out there that brie is white, it has that living rind. It's called a bloomy rind. Wash rind is a different enzyme. So when their cheese is aged, like if they put it on the shelf, they're always wooden shelves. They wash it and they turn it, and sometimes they flip it. Depends on the style.
Yeah.
Parmesan, I believe, is just turned slowly for years. But wash rind, they have this like live enzyme in the wash that they brush it with, turn it, and then leave it, and it grows this rind. Brie is a different one. Actually, brie is always fun because the walls are covered in that mold. So the better the cheese cave, the more different the molds are in the walls that are interacting with the cheese.
Flavors the cheese.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's why it's so important to have a good cheese cave because it interacts naturally. So yeah, it's just a different enzyme that makes it reddish. And a wash rind is always reddish. You can tell orange red.
Right.
And sometimes they get bloomy rinds on outside of them, depending on the cheese cave again, which is kind of fun. Yeah, and it leaves a very distinct flavor.
Yeah, I honestly I find the brie. You sent me home with some brie the other day.
Oh, the delice, yeah.
Yeah, it. You said something to nibble on this week. Didn't really last as long as you might have thought it was gonna. You know what? The first time I got into it, I managed to put some away.
Oh, good.
on the basis of it was so good, I want to save some.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I am, being a compulsive, addictive personality. Once I start with something I like, I keep going after it.
Interesting. Your ex-wife, that's her favorite cheese too. Delice de Bourgogne, the one I gave you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year, thank goodness you introduced me every year again. You're always like, Isaac, this is Judy. I'm like, oh yeah, Judy. And then it's like, I don't know why I remember, but I remember her favorite cheese.
Well, her sister comes for Christmas every year. And that for the week, they come in and they buy what they want. They get mussels from Brian at Billingsgate, which he has like the best mussels.
Oh, yeah.
She buys bread there, of course, from the bakery, and buys nothing from me, but she takes some linguine sometimes. She offers to pay, but it seems unfair. I wasn't a horrible husband. I had some moments, some years. Anyway, but she loves the cheese there. And when she was quarantined for a while, and I was shopping for her, and I thought pretty much the least I can do is offer to make sure you have food. But yeah, her and her sister love going to the Say Cheese.
Excellent. That explains it.
Yeah. Well, she is a really nice person.
Oh, no, I love serving Judy. She's always content and lovely and pleasant.
Yes.
Those are lovely things. Those are great qualities for customers.
And they're both, good foodies.
Yep. Yeah. They like to try these different things and new things. And they're like, oh, okay, that one too. And that's always my favorite response, where it's like, well, you can't just leave with that and try this one too.
Yeah, you don't go with one cheese.
Yeah. My favorite was Jen was telling me, I can't remember what customer it was I was away a day for something or whatever, and then they're like, oh, Isaac's not here, and then Jen's like, yeah, no, he's not, sorry. And then the person's like, oh, that's a good thing. I won't leave here with like $150 of fucking cheese. Like, okay. I have that ability on people.
There is something, though, about going to a market that people want to buy from someone they know.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, anytime that I've been away and had somebody in my booth, it's the numbers are not great.
No.
And I never blame the person, because part of it too, they come for a chat and a visit.
Then they know us, like,
yeah.
Because we, with memory, like this Judy, for example, like I remember her cheese. Like, oh, I see Judy, get her cheese ready, because I don't see her that often.
Yeah.
People like that, I get their cheese ready. And other times I'm like, oh, I'll just like go in the memory, like, you bought this. This is one of your favorite cheeses I have, and I don't normally carry it, and I'll just bring that out too. It's weird. I remember it. I don't know how I remember half the shit sometimes. I'm like,
bartenders.
Yeah, like, how do I know?
They remember people's drinks.
I remember people's cheese or their favorites.
There you go. That's healthier.
Yeah, it is.
Very much so. You would maybe see Judy more often if I didn't have my booth there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Or she might sneak in the back door.
Next time I'll let her know, I'm like, this store, you don't even have to see him.
I won't rat you out.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't tell them you were here.
And eventually if that becomes
same thing for bartenders.
Yeah.
They used to do that too. So tell me about this. This is a serious blue.
It is. It's gorgeous. It's one of the best in Canada. It's called Tiger Blue from Penticton, BC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So when they opened, they had a winery there, and then they opened up the cheesemaker to basically make their own amazing cheese to pair with the wine. And then another, another vineyard's done that as well.
Because they're going to do tastings.
Well, of course they are. And really, Len, you know how people are. I'm sure you have friends that just go to BC once a year to stock up on like 3 cases of wine. Well, if you're also there now, you can buy
free or 3?
3.
3.
Yeah, it's
minimum.
Well, you know what I mean. People just like shop for their.
That was we were at the Willow Park wine auction one year, and I had a particular vineyard that I liked, and the guy I just stood by him and talked to him and drank his wine.
Mm-hmm. And
he said, you're welcome to try some of the other wines. I said, no, I'm good. And then Michael, who you would know from Willow Park, he's one of their sommeliers. He comes by, and I said, Michael, he's trying to ditch me. Tell him how much of his wine I buy. And he goes, oh, my God, he's already ordered 3 cases tonight. And he said, that's not unusual. And he said, oh, you know what? I'll sign a bottle for you.
Oh.
And I thought, well, that's special. The amount I buy, I want you to sign a case, and I'll give them out as Christmas gifts. And he went, yeah, okay. Putting on his best, I'll be polite face. So the blue in the blue cheese is a mold.
Yep.
Here's the argument that my sister, and they are really Americans, my sister and her husband. And I don't know how else to put it. And I grew up like this. If there was a bit of mold on the outside of the cheese, you cut it off and then ate the rest of the cheese.
Yeah, or cook with it.
Her husband apparently wants virgin cheese.
Oh.
And she told me not that long ago, yeah, I just cut the mold off and don't tell him. I thought, I can't believe it took you that long to figure that one out.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's
oh my God.
I'm glad that one's stellar.
Oh yeah, melting over a ribeye.
Oh, or just smeared on bread. You know this with that butter you were talking about on beautiful bread? Now that would be something else.
Oh my God, that may where, and this is from Penticton.
Mm-hmm. Penticton, BC.
I don't mean to sound surprised, but I am.
Yeah, I am too when I tasted it because I think they're buying milk from the milk board. But don't quote me on that. But that just means like the BC milk board. So that just like whatever they sell their milk to.
But you could find out, and when people watch this, then come in for some of this.
I can.
And if you like blue cheese, you have to have
Oh
this.
yeah, like
This is not a, you know, sometimes, and no offense to grocery stores, but you go to a grocery store and it says blue cheese on the label, but you're not seeing any of this or very little.
which is not always the case for blue. You don't need to see the blue to have it really flavorful. But that's what they sell is the Danish stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like the cheapest shit they can produce there and export. It's terrible.
I'm going to pretend like my mouth is really sticky with cheese before I insult the Danes. But
Well, we've done the Welsh. The
yeah, we
Danes
got
are
the
next.
Welsh.
Don't even get me started on the Greeks, Jebb. I mean, really.
Yes. There was a Eagles song. The Greeks don't like no freaks, but I think it was actually had something to do with the fraternity.
Ah.
Yeah, the Greeks are an interesting history.
Absolutely. I always say, though, like, if your civilization peaks 2,400 years ago, there's no place to go but down, right? Like,
That is true. I love it. However, the Greeks will tell you how much they've invented, and they have.
mm-hmm.
But the actual, I've never been to Greece, believe it or not, all the times that we traveled. But the food, I love Greek food,
Mm-hmm.
but they are all about the flavor,
Oh, yeah.
And oregano. They do love oregano.
They sure do.
Not that I don't use oregano.
There's a point. It's to a
Yeah.
point, though. It's not.
We used to have dinner parties where we would name a country. So everybody that came to the dinner party had to, this is my classy TV move. We would pick a country, and then we would get together and decide on kind of an assignment of
courses,
a dish to make.
Mm-hmm.
And the couple that lived directly across the alley from us, she said, "Oh, chicken, I can do chicken." So she did the lemon chicken and potatoes. One of my favorite dishes.
Mm-hmm.
She brought it over and she walked in and went, "I think it's horrible. I don't know if you guys can." And it was probably one of the best versions I've ever eaten. And the two of them, you could tell they just hated it.
Oh,
It just wasn't. And they are pretty meat and potatoes kind of people, which is fine.
mm-hmm.
But I kept going, "I don't think you know how good you did. Like, I don't think you're understanding. This is delicious." And it was right at restaurant quality. And she said, "Well, I just found a recipe and just did that." And I thought, well, you did it well.
Yeah.
And please print off the recipe and send it to me.
Oh, yeah. That's quite fun.
So so you would put this on bread at your house?
Oh, yeah. With some port or Madeira.
Yeah, just a big glob of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and actually, it's usually with softer cheeses I like to have bread, but these semi-firm and hard cheeses, I don't bother. I eat so much cheese at this point. Like, I just give it to me straight, pure. Like,
Yeah. Don't cut it with bread.
yeah, honestly, like that stuff, no way. Even though bread is delicious,
I'm still a really big fan of cheese and crackers.
I like it with like cheddar.
It's a childhood thing.
Yeah, and same here because my parents actually always shopped at the market.
Yep.
From the time I was 5, I think.
I don't know if I know your mom. I know your dad fairly well.
Yeah, but yeah, they but with the nicer stuff, I just want it on its own, just delicious. Yeah,
Nothing to confuse the flavor.
no, I mean bread doesn't enhance, but just from
Bone-in ribeye, that cheese melting over the top of it.
absolutely. After it's been butter basted.
Yes, of course.
Sorry.
Buy the bone-in ribeye. I don't care what almost any meat you cook tastes better with the bone in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just so much flavor comes out of that bone.
Absolutely. Or a great Arrested Development quote. When Carl Weathers was on it, he played an alternate version. Oh, it's
I
fat.
don't think I know this one.
Oh, it's just he had this reoccurring bit where like that bone, just save it. A few potatoes, an onion, you got a stew going, baby. And it's just like every time.
I have some beef bones in my freezer, waiting to. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love ossobuco.
Oh,
and yeah, John's agreeing.
oh.
And really, you know what it is? It's stew.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. But you get the bone, and you get a little bit of bread, and you get all the marrow.
Oh yeah.
And I've made it for people at our house before, and they would look at us like we were insane, eating the bone. You don't want the marrow? Well,
Yeah.
here, pass it over.
That on bread.
Yeah.
With butter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got to be on bread. Yeah.
But
it's hard to describe how tasty that is.
Yes, because Cohen gave me some, I think it's silver skin, like the thick parts of silver skin. And he just gave me a bag of it because I was making a stew last month. And he's like, just throw this in. And like, I know it cooks down, but I couldn't even believe the bits in the stew, like these little lines that just completely melt away. Like,
yeah, they kind of go gelatiny a little bit.
Absolutely.
And they add a level to the stew.
They do. And like, I knew that with ossobuco was full of it, but just to have a bag of it on its own, that was something else.
Yeah.
It was just like a jello stew.
Well, when I did beef stew, or when I do beef stew, I like to butcher it out myself. Like, I'll just get the chunk of meat and butcher it out myself. And I got some from Cohen once, and he's just chopping it up. And I'm like, no, I'll take it home. I'll do it. And it's because I take all of those bits and I put them in a pan for me. Like, there's no sense, no offense, folks, no sense in wasting all of that. You know, there's such a thing as bits that never make it out of the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the chef has his favorites.
Mm-hmm. And everyone does it. Like, Pope's nose is the reason. It's for the cook, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
It's the best part of the bird.
And if you don't know what that is, basically it's the tail fin.
Don't tell them.
Why?
Keep it for us.
Oh, okay. Well, if you tell them, they'll be less likely to eat it.
Oh, that's true. But yeah.
And also in my family, the piece of chicken that we fought over was the back.
Oh, like right.
Yeah, you want the oysters.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There's like the little best pieces. And those of you that only eat chicken breast, you're an idiot. Thighs are way better.
Have you been for yakitori at not Nupo, but Darren McLean's other restaurant?
No.
They literally butcher down every piece. So there's like chicken sweetbreads. Jebb, you'd been love. Like chicken tails, oysters, sweetbreads, hearts, livers.
Oh, really?
Oh, and it's yakitori, so it's like on a,
Is that
it's a Japanese
Shokunin?
grill. Yeah, Shokunin, yeah.
Yeah, that was his first place, I think. Yeah.
It's definitely worth a trip.
Well, I know that you can get that sometimes when Jay's son at Eats of Asia is making them.
Yes, you can.
And he does the hearts too.
I'm waiting for him to do the oysters though, or he's doing the oysters, the tails, and the gizzards. Not the gizzard, the sweetbread, like which is a weird cut, but I love it. I love it so much.
My dad, first piece of fried chicken he took was the neck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'd be so good.
Mom from Texas, dad from Oklahoma. You didn't waste chicken. You didn't waste meat. You know, and I'm a firm believer. Poor food is the best food because they figure out how to make everything taste amazing.
Well, they have to, right?
Yeah, I was hosting an event one time that was a food-based event. There were 6 chefs cooking, and I said, this is amazing to watch the food coming out of here. All of these different things that everybody's come up with. And I can't make food look like that. I just make food that tastes really good. And one of the chefs came up screaming at me. He said, "I know exactly what you meant." And I said, "You're the guy that overcooked the fillets, huh?" And he just looked at me. He said, "Shut up." I said, "You had 5 rational ovens back there, and you overcooked. How you just put a probe in it? It'll do all the work."
Oh my gosh!
But it was just they came out well done, which is nothing better for a fillet to turn it into jerky.
Yeah, basically. Oh,
And it's really there's not enough fat in it to do a lot of things. Like I don't know why. I don't know why a chef would have picked fillet anyway.
yeah. It's
I mean,
also
that
cliche, really. If you're trying to impress
Yep.
judges,
Yep.
it's an afterthought, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching a Ramsay cooking show, and you're somewhat depressed because this is the one show he didn't make beef Wellington on, which is from what, the 60s?
Yeah, it's a great dish, but it's a little played out.
Yeah, a little played out, and scallops.
Of course.
There's always scallops. He has his wheelhouse.
I mean, and when they're well done, they're incredible. Like,
Yep.
properly
Oh, yeah.
prepared. Sorry, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't got bored of them.
And you know what? They're also really easy to hoop.
Yeah.
They are not hard to screw up.
Exactly.
And there's nothing worse than being cooking for a group of people at your house. And I would walk out and go, "You need to get your asses in your chairs right now." And it was like, and they'd be, no, I meant right now. And then I'd just walk out and go, "Well, it's all overdone. Come on in." And it would just piss me off. I don't know why people wouldn't listen.
Yeah, I get that.
So here, one of my questions that I had for you too, and this is kind of I'm a big fan of Asian food, but I don't recall cheese being a huge thing in Asian cuisine.
It's not. The only reason it's dairy's part of Vietnamese cuisine is from French colonialism.
Right.
I don't know why. I think it's just a history.
Which is where the condensed milk came from.
Exactly. Baguettes for their butter, even in butter, because China doesn't use butter. So, yeah. I don't know. I think it's just a cultural thing.
Because they have animals to make it with.
Oh, yeah. They had water buffalo, chickens, pork, beef, everything.
And you would think the French would have instilled that.
Well,
I don't know how long they were there.
Just under 100 years, I believe. Yeah.
They might have overstayed their welcome.
Well, when you get kicked out by communists, probably.
Yeah, that's true. I'll tell you the oddest thing that I ever saw. We were in Mexico one time, and we're at Lake Chapala, and I love Mexican cuisine too. And we had Dave Kelly on the show recently, and we both decided you cannot dislike any cuisine that's their two major ingredients are salt and fat.
Yeah,
and it's just delicious. And so we're driving around the lake to see the whole thing. And the guy we were talking to said, "Well, you have to stop at the Swiss village."
In Mexico?
It gets better. And we're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he said, "Oh, there's a Swiss village on the other side of the lake. You go up the mountain. And there's a sign that says, 'To the Swiss village.'" And you go up there, and it's a Swiss, they're like chalets, and they're almost like ponderosa pines. Up this mountain. Like it's beautiful up there. And so it's like, well, I got to find out what happened here. And at one point in time, the Swiss sent an army to overtake Mexico. I don't know how many people they thought they had to send, but it probably was more than this. So anyway, they found this area and that looked like something they were used to, and went there and built chalets, Swiss chalet, and they said not the restaurant, but and then Switzerland said, "Okay, this isn't going to work out. You need to come home." And a bunch of them went, "No." So you go up there, and there's a lot of people that are Swiss, and they speak impeccable Spanish. It's very bizarre.
Interesting.
But very cool.
It is a lot cooler than going to, like, say, Argentina and finding the white villages that speak German.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's a few of those.
Yes, even in Brazil, right? There's a few German speaking in the south. Yeah.
In the south, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's they must have been there the French sent over lots of armies because they were backing a Habsburg emperor of Mexico in the 50s and 60s and the 1860s. So the Swiss must have sent some troops to help. So
To be troopers.
mercenaries, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they decided not to go home.
Good for. Hey, it's pretty. It's warmer
Summers
than
are nice.
exactly. I wonder if they make any like Swiss style cheeses that they brought with them and
Oh, I
make
don't
them
know.
there, and then that would be incredible. They'd be so different, right? Like part
Yeah.
Gruyere, part Mexican. I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, because you use a lot of queso fresco in Mexican cooking.
Mhm.
And do they have that? Use that in Brazil? Queso fresco, yeah. So
Or this
it's a
means
fresh cheese,
yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just
Well-
amazing. It's great.
I always have to ask where customers are from when they're looking like actually Latin American when they're looking for queso fresco, because
Yep.
most people here don't know. I don't even know, like because each country has their own version of it.
Right.
Same name, but it's all slightly different. So I have to check. Oh, Colombian, Venezuelan, Mexican, like just to have a better idea of what to sell.
And we've talked about this to a lot of the rest of the world. Latin is Latin,
Mhm.
and because we are human beings, simple as human beings, sometimes a lot of people think Asian is Asian and
Mhm.
Latin is Latin, but the differences
Yeah,
are amazing.
it's just like this cheese only made in one region. There's so many regional dishes all across the world. It's fantastic. So
Well, and that's the thing when you go to these regions and whoever, there's probably in that region one group that makes the best version of that,
oh, absolutely.
and they are like the king of the castle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And Judy has an old friend that lives on Whidbey Island, and she
Oh.
makes literally the best blackberry jelly I've ever had. And they're all over the island.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back and I couldn't pay for blackberries anymore. I was like, you could just walk around with a big 5-gallon pail
Mm-hmm.
and pick them there. And they grow. I mean, they grow like weeds. They're everywhere.
Yeah, it's mostly islands on the west coast, right? Like
Yeah.
my cousins are from Vancouver Island, same thing. Just go off to the edge of the highway and like, oh,
Yeah,
lunch.
they're everywhere.
It's grand. Well, where we used to have our place, and it was on Siksika, but it was in a river valley.
Yeah.
From June, maybe end of July or early July, Saskatoon's everywhere. So wonderful. Same thing, just gallons and
Well,
gallons.
and are
and
there
gallons.
some? It's going to be a weird question, I think. Fruit infused cheeses.
Yeah, you can get Goudas. They literally make everything. If you can think of this will be the first thing
Flavor.
Yeah, they'll legally, I'm sure the first one with cannabis and probably like psilocybin mushrooms, because they put it in everything. Not cannabis and mushroom, but I mean there's thousands of flavors of Gouda, so I'm sure they'll be the first to do legal.
Is it because
versions.
it's a good blank palate?
Exactly, yeah, because it's slightly sweeter, so it can carry forward these cheeses or these flavors. I get some British cheeses that are flavored. They have strawberries.
British flavor?
I know, shocking. Just hold on
is.
here. Just hold on here. No, their cheeses are next level. They do great cheeses.
Yeah.
Even though I think of one of the most famous cheese things is from Monty Python,
Yes.
no cheese. The
Yeah.
other one being a terrible cheese he's talking about. Do you know Wallace and Gromit?
No.
You don't know Wallace and Gromit, the show, the claymation?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Some Wensleydale Gromit cheese. It's terrible. It's a terrible cheese. But a lot of the other cheeses they make are great. So, but what they're famous for is, not so. But no, that I get mango ginger at the shop right now. Apricot Stilton. They're actually all lovely. They're really just dessert though. They're kind of fun.
So, and pretty much everybody that works there, I mean, I always, because we're friends, I talk to you more than anyone else there. But the girls are great, and all of them know lots about cheese. And you could just go in there and go, look, I'm having this, or I want to do this, and you can match people up.
Oh, absolutely. It's my favorite. If if you're having just like cheese and wine, if you come to see me first, we can pick the cheeses out. I send you to a certain place and they'll direct the wine, or vice versa. Do my best.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
usually there's
pairings.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
I did that for my 50th birthday.
It'd be wonderful.
Had a sommelier.
There you go.
Yeah. And a pretty amazing chef.
That sounds very fun. And
Yeah.
you're still drinking then, right? So you could enjoy the
Oh,
wine.
I was still drinking then. Yes, I was. I believe my daughters came up from the U.S. and they actually asked the sommelier how much wine I had drank. And they almost died of shock when he told them. And then he said, oh, I've seen him drink more than that.
Oh.
And we had 2 bottles in us before any guests showed up. We were there opening bottles and getting ready.
Yeah.
And you can't,
Well,
when you're still drinking, you can't do that without having some.
well, even if not, you have to try everything just to refresh your memory as a sommelier, right?
Oh, I had to, yeah, well, Michael picked the majority of the wines, and I said, you know what I like for reds, the whites I don't give a shit about. I'm not a big white wine guy, just not my thing. But are there cheeses that pair better with white wine than red?
Yep. I usually prefer whites, so I tend to go that way. This one, Barbaresco, just classic beef. Yeah. You're shaking.
Yeah.
7 years or 8 years sober. And you're like, yes.
Yeah, I could eat the package you brought it in with the Barbaresco.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
Absolutely. Oh, well, the Barbaresco would carry it.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you get this?
Just leave a little bit of cheese crumbs on it.
Exactly. The
It's a
petroleum must be Colombian. Yes. Not Alberta petroleum. You can tell with the Barbaresco it comes through. This one would be a Bordeaux, I believe. So nice red.
Yeah.
Of what kind? I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable. But it's the closest area, or a Rioja.
There's a lot of good red. There's a lot of good wine guys.
Exactly. You could do a Madeira port, like I said, or blues are also delicious dessert wines.
Yeah.
Those are dessert wines. Sorry, like a botrytis affected, like a Tokai or a.
I was never a huge port guy.
No. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's too late now, but
the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, nothing here. This I don't know. Something really sharp and acidic and white, and just to cut its richness and its caramel.
And beer would go with.
That'd be way better with beer, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Probably.
But a good beer. I was thinking.
Bud Light.
Velveeta.
Oh.
With a beer.
Yeah. No. Beers can be great too. I'm planning a few beer tastings through the summer.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different beer now too.
Oh well, you're right. Yeah.
There was a place in Ottawa. You can't get to it now because it's blocked, but you could. It was the comedy club was above, and below, it was a beer bar.
Oh, fun!
And I had never seen a full-blown dedicated beer bar. And the guy said, obviously you like beer. And so he was bringing me lots to taste. And he said, I have a very special beer for you at the end of the evening. Oh. I was like, a finishing beer? That sounds odd. And it was a beer that was done in cherry wood kegs.
Oh.
And I was like, holy crap, it's like an aperitif. But it's still beer.
Yeah.
But it just had this flavor. I said, that is like amazing. Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, we have it made for us. I was like, oh, so I'm not finding this in the store? No.
There's actually a local producer that does something like that. They use old, it's not sherry caskets, but it's
okay.
Bordeaux, I believe.
Can we name them?
Yeah, Highline Brewing. Go. It's outstanding. It's in Inglewood.
Yeah, I have no issue with, if you know somewhere that's got a great product.
Okay. Ever been to Jebb's joint at the Crossroads Farmers Market?
I've been there. I've been there so much. I don't eat much of that food anymore.
I wouldn't recommend the Crossroads, but Jebb's joint for sure. There's a bar like that in Calgary now. There's a Cicerone, which is a beer sommelier. His name is Bill. It's at Rain Dog, just above.
See there, that's when you know you're a beer sommelier. Wine sommelier, Michael.
Yeah.
Beer sommelier, Bill.
Yep. Bill.
Bowling shirt, name over the.
It's not bowling shirts. It's better. It's like Western, like 70s apparel, always when he's working. That's his.
Oh
like,
my God, I love it.
Oh, it's perfect on point. And they make like upscale 60s like mom cooking. So they do like awesome potato. Yeah, it's actually, you should just go to eat. We can go. We should go.
We should go eat there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
They're open tonight. What are you doing after?
I'm really lucky because I can go places that are serving and it doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people that just can never be around it again. And I just kind of, I would say I know my limit, but my limit is 0 now because after the 1, there's no other limit. But it doesn't bother me to be around it. So, yeah, if they have...
the food's great.
I do shepherd's pies. I'm really big on comfort foods.
And that's the menu. But it's always upscale. So once in a while I'll sell them truffles for a dish. I sell them all their cheese for their charcuterie boards.
Yeah.
It's quite fun. Yeah. No, I would recommend.
Nice. Okay. We have to go there sometime. Well, thanks, Isaac, for coming on the show.
No, thanks, Jebb. It was
fun. Great. Yeah.
So much fun.
We chat at the market, but all of us are usually in a bit of a hurry.
That's true.
I mean, we have lulls, but
yeah, we, like one of us gets called away or a customer shows up or whatever.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of similar customers, and if the parm that I use, because people were asking me forever, they were going, I don't get it. Like what is that? And it's one that you recommended to me, and it's Estonia.
It's Estonian from all places. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I tell people, they're like, what? And I know it sounds odd. And then I know for me, I had to think a little bit, where is Estonia? Because I was educated in Southern California.
Yeah, fair.
More time in the parking lot, less time in the classroom. Well, but it actually, I told somebody, they said, I want to go get some of that. And I said, just go into the little market part, and it just says Jebb's Cheese. And he came back, he goes, it actually says your name. Yeah, I know, because it's just the easiest, because I have a bad memory.
And people know. They're like, oh, it's Jebb's Cheese. Jebb's Cheese. That's it.
Yeah.
No questions about it. They know now.
Yeah, and they quite honestly, when I used like a regular parm in lasagnas, it
just doesn't cut.
And
it.
I mean, it wasn't shaker cheese by any means, but it just wasn't the same. And that's what I was going for, was just that different thing. And that's what's great about going to Say Cheese, is I can go to you and go, okay, I'm going to do this,
but let's do something different. Or
yeah. What's that extra kick I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I got a guy that's been buying a shepherd's pie every weekend for like a month and a half. And he finally walked in the other day and he said, I'm going to get a jar of the sauce. He goes, the fuck do you put in the shepherd's pie? And I go, I said, do you want to hear the scary part? The first time I made a shepherd's pie, a lady ordered one. I said, oh yeah, I can figure out how to make that. And she came back. She said, that's the best shepherd's pie I've ever had. I said, oh, good. And she goes, I've made shepherd's pie for 25 years. And mine is just shit. And my whole family was like, you didn't make this. And it was like terrible. But I said, well, just come and get it for me then.
Yeah.
You got to have secrets.
Oh, absolutely. And well, at least it's not a, oh, good gosh. What's the razor? Like, your secret's not actual shepherd in it. Like,
yeah, no.
Just to clarify that for everyone.
That one didn't work.
That was a test, though.
Yeah,
right?
It was. In all fairness, it was the mutton of shepherds. It's a joke.
Old and scraped.
Yeah, a joke for the few. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Isaac. At the Crossroads Market. Easy to find, and
yeah, the tall guy at the cheese store. That's
you're the only guy at the cheese store.
That too.
Yeah, and everybody else there are lovely people as well. And if you get a chance to meet Nancy, she's great. She's been there since she owns it since forever.
Yeah.
So once again, big thank you again to Liz from the Camera Store, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe and like us on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we'll be back next week with a whole new episode. Thanks.